Let me open up with a little intro.
Can you hear it?
It's you guys.
Y'all just edited it and then put it out.
Sunday
Yeah, so I'll just edit it all together,
The
and then I'll
table
put it out.
set for Sunday dinner. The talks about tithing's getting
All right, Houston. So I'm here in my office deep inside the East End with some special guests today, some hometown boys that you might or might not seen on the Esplanade a few times, or maybe you see them around in the corners with some signs, maybe asking for some money or something. But
were
I
selling
got
fruit.
Robert Rodriguez and
Tony Zamora.
Tony Zamora.
Yeah, Zamora.
Is it Zabor with a B?
No, Zamora.
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 Isn't that from like a movie? Zamora.
Probably. That's
Right, so from
It's back home. It's from a carniceria, the Zamora brothers.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
kind of famous.
They're-
carniceria.
yeah. I'm named after a god in the city. Oh, I get flack all the time about my Spanish because I like to just make up stuff, you know? It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know.
Spanglish.
that's the Texas way, man. Spanglish.
Well, you know, I was talking to a vendor and you know how they do it. I don't speak. And
No Nintendo?
So I was trying to, no Nintendo. So I was trying to like talk to him, and then Renee, he texts me. He's like, "Man, learn Spanish, fool." I was like, that's cold blooded. But so, man, I appreciate you guys coming in, man.
Yeah,
and,
man.
And I know you guys been doing the circuit with your new album, or what's the deal? What is it?
this is it's a new album. It's
Okay.
from Tremoloco, and it's called Curandera Volume 1.
Yeah.
And it just was, we released it this year, in 2023, in, was it June 2nd?
June in the States and August in Europe.
In Europe, that's correct.
So
Europe.
it's still fairly.
Yeah.
So you done left the area, huh?
We're trying.
So is this the first album, or is this
Oh,
how
no,
many
no,
albums
This
is
is our
this?
fifth album. Well, it's our
Holy
fifth
crap,
recording.
Fifth album.
Yeah.
Fifth
It's our
recording.
fifth recording, our fourth full album.
Yeah.
Fourth full
First one
album.
was an EP.
EP.
Yeah, Tony started the band in California, in LA.
Okay.
And I joined, I think, what was it, in 2010, maybe?
Long time ago.
It's been
So
a while.
how'd you get from LA to Houston?
Well, I grew up, born and raised in LA, and
Okay.
and that music was
We'll let that slide.
that music was always in my head. I mean, my dad's from Mexico, mom's from Texas,
Nice.
and
Did they try to convert themselves?
nah,
You know, Nacho. My mom was.
yeah, right.
They tried to convert each other.
Yeah, they did. My mom wanted us to speak English. My dad wanted to
Yeah.
speak Spanish.
No, cabrón.
But I was just working in Los Angeles forever as a sideman and a musician, and
Yeah.
doing whatever I could, playing all different kinds of music with different people. And I happened to be working in a real famous guitar shop that did restorations and
Yeah.
repairs, and Asher's, give them a little shout out there.
Okay.
Bill Asher shop in LA.
Yeah, I've heard of that,
They,
yeah.
they do it. They kind of developed the Ben Harper lap steels. And
Yeah.
it was a great place, and constantly amazing musicians were in and out of there. So of course I'm talking to them and hanging out with them. It was a great job for a musician because I kind of come and go as I
Yeah.
please. But that's where we started the band, and that's where we rehearsed. And the idea of it was to get sidemen that were just going to play the music that they loved, as opposed to playing other people's. I mean, playing with other people is great, but sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But you're doing it for the money.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, who's going to do this? And as we started doing it, everybody I asked, I didn't even have to ask. They said, "What the heck is going on with that? You're doing kind of a country Mexican music mix." And they went after us,
Yeah.
and we didn't have to ask too hard. So when I recorded the first album, a guy, former member, well, not a member really, but former drummer for Los Lobos, a friend of mine, Cougar Estrada. We were both working for Los Lobos at the time. He said, "Let's make an album of this stuff," because we started playing around doing sort of covers,
Yeah.
just whatever
Yeah,
Tex-Mex,
just
Freddie Fender.
whatever you do, yeah.
And people started
Text
asking for
tornadoes, stuff like
CDs, and we said we don't have any CDs. So
Out the trunk.
oh man, the first show we did was at a place called Olvera Street in California for Cinco de Mayo. We had no idea it was going to be that kind of a show, but there was some pretty good name acts on there, who I don't remember now. And we were, I don't know, third up or close to the headliner. And we walk out there. It's sort of a building. It was like 5,000 people. So we went over really well. That's when they started asking us. They said, "Man, we need songs and we need to record." And it sort of evolved from there. We got involved with this little record company, and my idea, since it was kind of Tex-Mex and country and Mexicano stuff mixed together, was to do it between, and I've always done it, was between California and Texas. Yeah. And that's been our thing ever since.
You know,
we on the first album, we came straight to Austin and started recording.
So, you know, people are they're always going to bring up Texas tornadoes, right? Because it's that type.
Yeah, well, you can't do that.
You can't. No, you can't, because I was listening to,
and Los
your
Lobos
stuff.
too.
Yeah, and I was listening to your stuff. And it's a totally different style. Mm-hmm. It's a totally different vibe, period.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a little bit more hometown stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
and the other groups are more commercial. Not commercial is the wrong word, but not so home
successful.
Based. Yeah. Yeah. Because you start relating to, you know, my favorite song, you know, Sunday Sinners. I mean, come on, you know. So
that's that Gulf Coast thing.
Oh man, you know, I've seen them. You know, you got the walk of shame, but you got the walk of the church. I
think all crudo at church.
The big difference for me, especially, was, of course, I was born in Houston. Yeah. You know, born and raised Texas, and grew up with the music, but I never really paid attention to how important the lyrics were. Yeah. Until I started working with Tony, because with Tony, the lyrics were very important. Yeah. You know, of course, the music itself, but I saw the difference between that. Yeah. Like, and then especially now with this album, I was fortunate enough to work alongside with him and with Cougar, and I'd never really done a project like, you know, been in the studio from beginning to end. And this particular project, you know, Tony brought me in and was like, "Hey man, learn this
that'll
stuff."
Teach
so
you.
it's
You'll
so
learn real quick.
It was an eye opener for sure, and it was, and like you said, man, it's everywhere we go. They always ask, of course, Texas tornadoes or Lobos. Yeah. Right. And it's funny because you know, the lyrics that they have are nowhere like this. Completely different. Like they do have the Tex-Mex stuff, but sitting down and working with these two guys, it was just a whole different experience. Where it was just, you know, like learning more stuff that it's not aware of when you're just growing up listening to the music. And especially, like you said, the Spanish, that was another thing, is that the Spanish lyrics, trying to write the proper or use the proper Spanish words.
Yeah, because you hit that Spanglish, people are like, what? What are you saying?
And it's true, because even some of the stuff that is sung in the Tex-Mex stuff, there's people that are Southwest or California, they don't understand the lingo because it's Tex-Mex, it's Spanglish Tex-Mex, I guess. But using the proper Spanish.
Nobody understands y'all.
No.
Well, you know, the way we excuse me, the way we got a boost was because we came out of the Lobos camp, and Cougar's pretty well known. Yeah. And when I'd met a bunch of musicians at that shop, and just hang around long enough, right? Yeah. But when we came to hiring musicians for the first, because we didn't really have a band, it was just me and Cougar. And when it came to hiring musicians, it was great because all these amazing, what I consider, on our first album, the boost we got was, I consider that the best of the roots Americana players in LA and in Austin. Yeah. So the jump start we got was a bunch of famous players from both sides, from California and Texas. I mean, really well-known players in the industry, maybe not household names, but some of them were.
Well, you know, I think, and by no means am I some kind of musician critic, but I see a lot because working on the Esplanade and stuff, you book a lot of bands and stuff, and you start to pick up on things. musicians know musicians.
Yeah.
Right. And they know the good ones and they know the bad ones.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's pretty dope to see that you put out or you start out and then all these musicians come out and say, man, I want to play with you. Because they know.
Was surprising to me too.
That was,
really? And it was a little bit daunting because suddenly I needed songs for that. And to play songs for, David Hidalgo and Greg Leese and Steve Bruton and all those guys, all the Texas musicians. It was like, okay, here's my little home movie.
Hi.
Don't tell me my children are ugly. Man.
Yeah. Well, so how long have you been in Houston?
How long what?
How long have you been in Houston?
Oh, this time.
No, you yourself. Like coming from LA.
We still live in both places.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you live in both.
So I have a place in actually Orange County, but in California. And when we're out there, Robert lives with me.
Yeah.
And when we're here, I live with Robert here on the East End. And I've been here a good month and a half or so.
No, like your life.
Oh,
like when you first came to Houston.
First came to Houston. I first went to Austin because I thought that was the place to be.
Yeah.
But what do I know? And that was in the 80s, with different bands.
It was a different vibe.
Yeah. It was fun, but I kind of missed the 70s, a real cool spot of it. But, mid 80s or so. And then when I really started hanging out in Houston a lot was around 2008, the release of our first album, 2007, 2008. And a writer here for the Houston Press, another friend of mine, Mike Smith, he's the one that introduced me. I came here and I said, well, Joel Guzman played, and David Hidalgo played accordion on the first record.
Okay.
For some reason, they wouldn't go on the road with me. I don't get it. So,
I wonder why.
Yeah, so we came, we were doing a Texas run, our first one with this band, and I asked I asked Mike if he knew it, and he said, yeah, I know this young player. And it was
Robert.
It was your homie here.
Yeah, Robert. So, it's safe to say you've been in music all your life.
Yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Well, I have older brothers who are part of the East LA scene. They weren't professional musicians, but they got married and had kids and all that. But probably in the early 70s, late 60s, my older brothers who are a bit older than me, because I come from a large family, they were all, there was music and bands and rehearsals around my house since I can remember. I started piano lessons at 6 years old, if that tells you anything. Jumped to trumpet and finally started playing my brother's instruments when they weren't home.
Damn.
Around 12 years old.
And Robert, you've been in music all your life, because I know a little bit about your stuff, because we go back a little ways. We're good friends and stuff, and we've had conversations about how you started in the music business and everything. And so you taught, right? You taught music, or you teach kind of like a music class.
Yeah, still every chance I get, but I do the basic stuff because the way I grew up was, of course, it was very, I guess you call it the traditional way of learning is like orally, like they pass down the music to you, but I never really learned. I didn't learn properly, so that was something that I wish I would have learned.
That's proper. It's just self-taught.
Is it safe to say that most musicians don't learn properly? They just kind of learn. They just pick it up and play, and then eventually learning music and notes. And
I think in modern music, a lot of our favorites and a lot of the people we know are self-taught.
Yeah,
but it's really folk music. It might be rock and roll, it might be blues, it might be jazz, it might be Tejano, but it's really folk music. And at some point, any of the good ones, including the ones that don't read and don't, I studied, and so did my brothers, and a lot of people do, and a lot of my favorite musicians are studied, but you don't really want that cookie cutter MIT guy necessarily.
No, that's not how you play the proper.
But some of those guys, they're badasses. I mean, they can play some wild stuff. So it's kind of two different careers.
I think it's a big not category, but it's a big part of the musician's identity.
Yeah.
On how they learned how to play. I saw an interview with Dave Grohl. Mm-hmm. And he talked about, he's like, man, I didn't know how to play drums. I was just pulling stuff from other people, you know, and they're like, what?
Same thing with guitar. He's kind of self-taught and he still don't know the name of his chords.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
which is, you know, it's cool. I mean, he's inventing his
you get
own
it out
stuff.
there, you know.
But at some point, even people like that,
you got to know, hey,
and
that's
the
a G chord.
Beatles, you really should know some basic
stuff,
theory, basics
the,
of theory, and some of the lingo and a little bit about theory in general. And so, since he's been with me,
I've been working on that.
You're welcome.
I've been working more on theory, but
this is a G.
When I like when I give lessons, usually it's for beginners. So you know, of course, I could do all that stuff. When you start getting into more of the advanced theory and all that stuff, by that time, most people who are already playing don't really need me as a teacher. Right? They learn on their own, or you know, find someone that has more advanced knowledge of it. But to start off, like, you know, I teach accordion, how to play accordion. I could teach all the basics and all that stuff. So, and of course, pretty much it's fundamentals of music. What I give lessons on.
The more you know, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, you'll never master. You'll never.
Yeah. If somebody says, you know, I've learned all I learned, they're lying.
Well, you know, you get guys that are PhDs in music and or classical music, and they're amazing music, just amazing people in general, and their knowledge. There's a few guitarists I can think of that their breadth of knowledge musically is unmatched. It's amazing, but you know, does that mean that you're gonna end up like you know, Fats Domino with that vibe and that thing, and you know, or Little Richard? or
you
something?
guys definitely
Probably
have a sound. I kind of went back and I was listening to some of your stuff, and it's definitely different from what you're used to, right? Because
that's good.
All you know, right? And speaking from somebody who's not 100% like, I just listen to music and I know everything about it, right? If you just pick up your headphones and put on some music and you start listening to Tex-Mex and stuff like that, you can definitely tell the difference. And there's a different vibe to it when you start listening to stuff. And I was really listening to this couple of songs of yours, and I was like, man, it's just like different. If you barely put it on, you're kind of like, what is that? And you're like, it's not this, it's not that.
That's our problem, identity crisis.
But no, it's you know, because then that sets you up for your own section there. And a lot of people they'll sit around and they'll go, man, you know, I only listen to this type of music, or I only listen to this type of music. And I'm like, dude, there's so much. So much. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we're talking about music, and I have a big range of what I listen to, but it's all old. Right?
Yeah, I know.
I'm not too big of a fan of the new stuff. You know, I'm just kind of, you know. So I'll go back to
Well, you know, I do the same, but I make it
yours.
Point. I make it a point to actually search out and listen to young people.
Oh no, there's some good new stuff,
so
but
there totally is.
I believe for myself, if I put on a song, the first couple of notes, I'll know if I like it or not.
Yeah.
You know, you get it and you're like, yeah, let me go to the next one. Hey. And then you start listening to it. You know?
Well, it's like you said, it's splintered now. It's all put in little categories. There's a million different styles.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of names for it. And it really is sort of the same, but not. I mean, like I've been playing in a Irish band for 20. I knew they'd make it laugh.
I met that Irish band.
20 plus years.
I'm not going to ask you to dance in Irish. I promise.
You know what is funny? I mean, they're good buddies of mine. Ken O'Malley and the Twilight Lords.
Yeah.
Give them a shout out there, and they taught that to me. Irish music is like the granddaddy of roots music, you know. So that's where our country comes from.
Better watch out, man. Some people will be like, "Hey."
Well, Scottish Irish, through through the hill country and all that stuff. I mean, hillbilly stuff. You know, it all goes back to that.
You can take it from I just listen to music, to a big history lesson. Of where it started, you know, with you know the skin drums of the baby lamb that you just slaughtered for dinner, you know, back in the mountains and stuff.
I mean,
you know,
Los Lobos actually, Louis I think said it. It's when they started playing Mexican music, because they were playing rock. They come from the era, you know, they knew all about Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and all the cool 70s rock stuff in late 60s, mid 60s, late 60s stuff. They were playing weddings and all that bit before they broke, and Louis and Dave both said, once they started getting into Mexican music, they said, that stuff's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah,
Not only is it hard, but there's a million different genres across Mexico. All the different states have their own little Veracruz and Huapango music and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was the same for us. We were like, gosh, it's daunting.
Let's pick something.
Yeah, and but there's something to learn from all of it. I mean, like Huapango feels like Mexican hillbilly music to me from the mountains, and it's backwards, but
from the montanes.
but it's really fun. And the same thing with Irish music is kind of the same. There's Scottish and Irish and Northern and Southern.
Well, just like
political stuff. It's really fun though.
I talked to Robert about that guy that plays the accordion, and he's Danish. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. Dwayne. I can't pronounce his last name.
Verheiden or
but
something like that.
He's Dutch.
Dutch or something like that.
He's
but
Dutch, but
plays Mexican music. I mean, they love.
Yeah,
but then again,
there's mariachis there as well.
It's this like Robert's always enlightening me and educating me about the origins of the accordion, and it's on polka music and this and that. So yeah, I think there's a video where Dwayne goes back home and he's playing his music, and it's like polka music.
He's playing a button.
He does, but I think I
I
want to say. Well, I know he plays.
I think it is
he plays
button.
He plays button, but I believe he knows how to play keyboard according to.
I was in Amsterdam and heard one of the best mariachi bands I've ever heard.
That's not, and he's he's pretty good. And I was like, holy crap, this guy's great. So the whole history thing is, I mean, you can just
Germans.
You
We
can
got
just
that
keep going.
polka from Germans, So.
Yeah. Hopefully, nobody gets mad about the Germans.
They actually love it.
No, but what's surprising is no matter where we go, it's just the accordion is using so much folk music from around the world. It doesn't matter where you are, any part of the world. At some point, somebody will be like, "Hey, I had a grandfather or something.
He's got one.
Or great uncle that played accordion and stuff." And it just you find it all over the world.
Yeah.
So no matter where we are, it fits.
Yeah.
And it's from what I found, it's any place, any European country,
has the accordion.
Most
somewhere
folk
in there,
music has accordion in it.
Yeah.
And that's what I found, that everywhere I go, someone's always telling me about their grandfather or their parents or their great uncles or something like that. So it always comes back to that. But and of course in modern times, you don't really see accordion in much of the music.
When I was a kid, if you played accordion, you got beat up.
Yeah. That's
why I didn't let anybody know I used to learn.
That's along with the trumpet.
Yeah, banjo. See, all that traditional stuff I love, and maybe that's why our music sounds like it does. I mean, we've used fiddle and banjo. And
that's what I noticed. Even I don't believe. Have you played on the Esplanade with us before?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he sat in
with that one time, right? We played at night.
Leather.
Yeah, with goat leather.
Goat leather. There it goes. Yeah, and it's. I mean, you guys got it. What's the other girl?
Hannah.
She's gonna
Underwood.
She hits the banjo and
she's working with us too. With
Tremoloco. I heard her.
She's on The Man Who Never Cries.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good one too.
She's also doing some of these local Houston shows with us.
That's nice. Yeah,
she's just great.
That's part of. One of the reasons why I wanted you to come in here so we can talk was because of the East End and the Esplanade that you guys come out and play sometimes and stuff. There's been a lot of, I won't celebrities, but people have gone on from the Esplanade that come out to do great things. Vendors, I've had vendors, they're on TV. I was like, I know that guy, so.
That's cool.
I'm pretty sure when I see you guys on the Tonight Show, I'm going to be, I know that guy. I always tell Robert, I said, man, I'll be your roadie and I'll bring a bunch of chords just so I can be in the back. I said, I'm the chord guy.
All you gotta do is carry a guitar.
Yeah, I'll just hold on to it. And are you with the band? I'm with the band.
That's it.
But I know I know you guys are gonna end up somewhere on TV. I know.
Well, we've done several television appearances throughout the years, so it's not that. It's kind of funny, like opening for big bands or being on TV or this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Especially opening for big bands, it's kind of it's wonderful, and in the moment it's fun, but it doesn't really help you that much, and it kind of goes
It just
away.
helps the viewer, like,
It's a little overrated. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm gonna open.
It's a
I'm
good
going to be on
story.
TV. Yeah.
It's a good story. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I
it
was
is.
there.
So you end up, and with the same big bands, you end up slugging it out in the clubs.
But
and
then again,
doing whatever.
us normal folk, not musicians, there's always that allure of somebody famous.
yeah,
Right? And knowing somebody famous
Yeah.
personally, right? So I know Robert, so like if you were guys, you guys going to blow up. I know you are. And then I could say that, he's my friend. You don't know that guy. You don't know Brad Pitt. You don't know Brad Pitt. Yeah. That's loco. I know Robert.
Well, I grew up in L.A., so there was always, and I know some actors, and I knew a lot of musicians, but nonetheless, I was a bit stunned when word about our project got out.
Yeah.
And like, hey, I'm looking for, and I went to different people, Texas musicians, say, hey, can we hook up some players and stuff? All of a sudden, it's Red Volkart and Cindy Cash Dollar and Joel Guzman and,
just coming out.
Tex Maniacs.
See, that's
Steve Bruton, the great legendary Steve Bruton.
Man.
He helped name the band. And
how did that come about? Because I'm like, Tremoloco, what the heck is that?
I don't know. We were hanging out at he hung out at the
If I think I
store
know what
a lot.
tremolo means.
Tremolo.
Tremolo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Tremolo,
exactly
yeah.
what it means.
Yeah,
So
the-
it's just
the whammy
it's just
bar.
Yeah.
It's just a play on that. It's a
Yeah.
musical term for sort of a wavering note.
Yeah.
And, or in guitar, like Spanish guitar playing, it's that single.
Oh, yeah.
Your tremolo,
Flamenco technique.
flamenco stuff, and classical guitar too. So it's just a musical term, but and it's stupid. But when we're burdened with it now. That's our name. Some people love it. Some people
Tremoloco.
go, what?
Yeah, I think musicians will get it. You're like,
yeah.
Musicians
Tremoloco.
get it.
But Stephen Bruton was really just like had done with so many people. He sort of mentored me and this band.
Yeah.
And so we started talking about names, and somehow we got on that. It went from everything from Tremolo Cholos to I don't know.
Tremolo Cholos.
Tremolo Cholos. I don't remember. But it went to Tremolocos, and it was
Tremolocos,
like I didn't want to be Los Tremolocos, but although that came up a lot when we were first.
Yeah, because then
of
you might
the-
be like,
Yeah,
Los.
everybody's
Los.
Yeah.
Los.
So I was with another famous musician, and like I said, I'm blessed to have sort of been around these people. Ben Harper.
Oh.
He said, I said, hey man, we're making our first record and stuff, and he was real encouraging and real cool, and he heard us, and like I said, we developed that guitar, so I was around him a bit, and not me, I'm not actually a luthier, but I work for these guys, and I got to know Ben a little bit, and his mom owns his grandparents actually started this music museum, folk music center in Claremont, California. So they've been around for, it's just amazing. And he goes, what are you going to call it? I said, well, I don't know. It's our first album. He goes, call it Tremoloco, drop the S.
Tremoloco. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it, and even Bruton, he cracked up. He goes, well, he's not wrong. And so when the first album came out, we played at the Claremont Folk Center. Ben happened to be there, and they went, hey, look.
Yeah.
No S.
No S.
He cracked up.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He goes, I remember that. So
I named y'all.
those kind of people, it's just amazing to me. And like my point was, I still a bit starstruck, even though I came from LA and I met
of
people.
course.
When Stephen got sick, we had come to Austin for our first tour, and he had gone to the hospital, and I called him up. I said, hey, we're going to be on KSGR. It's a big morning drive, which is not even our kind of music. It was like hard country.
Really?
And they liked us. They took a liking to us, the DJ there. And so we were on the morning drive, and I called him. I said, hey, I'm on K. Well, he was on the way to the hospital, and he got good news at that point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out that, he came back, but he was cancer-free and all this stuff. So I went to see him at the Saxon Pub that night and talked to him. He had a big smile. He was real happy. I said, I tried calling you, and he goes, I got your message, man. I listened to that. Interview, that radio interview, and he goes, I still can't believe you're blaming me for that shit. Because I told the story.
That was a good one.
I know. He
Your
was
fault.
He was so. I mean, they hooked us up with Mac too, the piano player, Ian Wagon. So I got those two guys on the first album. Well, how are you going to beat that? Along with David Adal, the guys from War.
Oh man!
You know, so
That's,
we kind of couldn't miss with players like that.
And you know, the whole just music in general. There's points where you're like, okay, let's go check out this band, right? And you're just there, and you're drinking, you're listening, and it's not really affecting you, right? You're just there right, in the moment or whatever. But then when a good band comes along or some really good music comes along, you're just in it. You know, you're in that moment, and you're just sitting, and then everything just kind of goes away.
That's what we live for, man.
Yeah.
And it's so great, man. Because I spent some time, I took some time off, and I went to New Orleans, and of course, went down to Freeman Street. Great music, man. Just hit some nice little bars, and they're just playing music, and I don't even know these groups. And a song that I haven't heard in a while, "I'll Take You There."
Oh yeah.
And just the bass line and everything, and just everything just went away.
Amazing.
And I was just, man, give me another drink. I was just having a great time, and everything just kind of melted away. And you're just, it doesn't, right?
It really does.
So that's why I was trying to, and I talked to Robert about it, that on the last Saturday of the month, I have live music on the Esplanade, and I wanted to bring that vibe to this community, that open air music vibe. Just bring your chairs. Bring your drink or whatever, and just listen to music. No buying vendors. No, I mean, might have some food, but there's nothing to do but just listen to music.
Yeah.
And I think this
is a good town for that. Of course. No, did you go to Frenchman Street? Is that?
Yeah,
Frenchman.
I said Freeman.
Yeah, Frenchman.
Not those.
No, that's a great. That's like
Frenchman Street is.
That's a good place to go.
I think as you get older, you get away from Bourbon and you go to Frenchman Street.
Yeah.
So we just hung out there, and.
Well, again, we have buddies there, and we were fortunate. I actually met them. I don't know.
The Jazz Fest is coming up, right?
Yep, but we became friends, and I was a fan first of the Iguanas, and it's similar, and it's a real cool vibe, and they got us a gig opening for them.
Yeah. It was at the they closed down the.
No, they got us a separate
they got us a gig.
Yeah, they just got us a gig at their. Where the Circle Bar where they used to play, and they got us a gig, and I followed those guys around a couple nights, and they took me to some New Orleans experimental jazz thing, like it's 19 pieces. Nice. It's like in the Ninth Ward. It was amazing stuff. So.
And that's why I started listening to. Well, I've always listened to that type of music. They're just all different times. But when you start adding horns and keyboard and a different instrument, man, this widens it out.
This was the best of New Orleans musicians at the time. This was a few years back, and I don't remember the name of the place, but it had a little balcony that went around the top, and so you could kind of look down.
Oh, okay.
Really small, really packed.
Yeah.
And the orchestra was 19 pieces, and the way they did it was two of the guys from the Iguanas played the drummer and the horn player, and the way they did it is they had. Of course, they had like a woodwind section, and then they had a brass band with tuba and the whole thing in one corner, and then they had the other horns and upright bass, drums, guitar, and just all these amazing orchestral instruments. I can't remember the bass player's name. That was the composer and the conductor. It was so wild. Big Jim, I think they call him. Gosh, his name escapes me, but. Yeah, those moments are,
It's kind of hard to get rid of that feeling when you've had it, and then you're looking for it now, right? You're trying to find this the next hangout bar or place that plays music, and sometimes they fall a little short. And it's like, they were good, but you didn't get that feeling, Just, oh man, there's been a few times that I've had that feeling, especially when I was on Frenchman Street this past a couple of weeks ago, and it was just a great feeling, man, because everything, I just forgot about everything else.
That's sort of,
you know what I mean? You're someplace. I mean, it was some, in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I got to do this. And you're thinking about other stuff that you got to do, but to just let it all just go away and then just listen to the music.
It's so, to me, maybe arguably, but that feels like ground zero for so much music in New Orleans. I mean, for rock and roll, for jazz, of course. Out of Cosimo's studio in the early days. I mean, you're talking, Fats and Little Richard and just Dave Bartholomew.
What's it? What's that place right here on Emancipation? That club upstairs.
Oh, El Dorado.
El Dorado.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff came out of that place.
Well, that's one of the things that I've learned over the years and I've come to love is Houston's musical history.
Yeah.
Is deep.
It goes deep. There's still a lot. I don't even know. I mean, but there's so much, and it's funny because if you go back and you look at all these bands and stuff, there's so many Texas people that come out from Texas, and they're in these big name bands. It's like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Houston. I'm from Texas. I'm from Austin. I'm just.
When I was growing up, every other person was from Texas in LA.
Yeah,
and it makes sense. Which, of course, that was part of whether he did it consciously or it was just what felt right to me. That's why merging the West Coast with Texas music and then that's where we came from.
Well, I think Robert really he was the one that really introduced me to the whole Tex-Mex thing, right? Because I listened to his music and stuff and playing with Nick and everybody else like that, and just your accordion attached to a band. Right. Yeah. So when they play rock and then you hear the accordion in the back. So that got introduced to me and I was like, holy crap, this is cool.
Well, but it's like going into the rabbit hole because of course I grew up just pretty much strictly like Tejano music, norteño music, right? And you hear accordion in that all the time. Yeah. And I was unaware at the time of what, Mingo Salivar, Flaco, and even a bunch of guys, Esteban Jordan, like they were doing all this stuff years ago.
Yeah,
But it was like I got introduced to it later. Afterwards, and I'm like, hey, wow, they're playing country. And
that works.
Or my idea of what country was or what blues was and stuff, because I was more just ingrained with the Tejano norteño, and of course, when I was growing up, playing accordion was not something that I don't think I want to tell people yet.
Look at that nerd.
But then when it came to the point where my dad, he grew up listening to a lot of classic rock. So, and of course the same thing. I was unaware of who the bands were, but I listened to the music. So I didn't know I was listening to Deep Purple. I didn't know I was listening to AC/DC or Black Sabbath. But I just heard it because my dad listened to it.
Yeah,
his dad used to be one of those kids, a little long-haired Mexicano kid that waited.
Roadies.
That waited at the truck when the rigs came in and said, "We'll unload, let us in the show."
Yeah,
so he saw some cool bands.
Where do you think I got that from, man? I'm like. So I'll hold the speaker.
So having that in the background or in the back of my head, I was like, I want to play this music, but I guess I don't know if I should. Like in my head, I was like, oh, you can't play an accordion, but I'm like, yeah, you can. It's music.
Yeah. You just add a little. Yeah.
But then people were always like, no, you can't do that. You could only play Mexican music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, but the accordion's not even Mexican. So that's when I started going into like, well, I want to learn where this is from. So that was the introduction of learning from like where the accordion came from. Yeah. So I learned in Germans and Polish and Czech. So, but that's when I started. And then when I got with Tony introduced me to more in depth of where the rest of the music is coming from.
You almost got fired.
Yeah. But it was just
You're not laughing.
But it was just I was unaware of that stuff. I just didn't know any.
Yeah, and it's it gets introduced to different styles. Like take Lencho, right? Lencho played with the Flamin' Hellcats.
Oh yeah, Flamin' Hellcats, yeah.
And then he goes from Flamin' Hellcats to Del Watson.
Mm-hmm. He played with us for a minute too. He played in New Orleans with us.
Yeah, he played with you. Did he play with Nick for a while?
Yeah, he still works with Nick every once.
Yeah, he was playing with Nick, and then and then you're like, how you sit there and you think you're like, holy crap! How do you go from that to country?
Yeah,
and it's just
Rob is now after hanging out with me, and his theory is more sound, and and I've really taught him as much as I can share with him, and because that was a joke. But at first, when that first show that Mike Smith asked us, when he finished, I told the guy from our little record company, and go, he goes, that guy's cool, and I go, I don't know about him, Morgan, because he killed it on the Mexicano stuff, and the Tejano stuff, any polkas and all the cumbias, he killed it. But our weird little country, whatever it is,
something,
he struggled with it, and I said, man, maybe we should, go on without him, and the record company goes, no, there's something there. If you fire him, I'm firing you.
There you go.
But what I am really trying to say is that as a Texas button accordion player, he's got a wide variety of what he can play now, which includes country and folk and all my weird songs, and he's become much more adaptable. In fact, he was had a conversation. He should tell the story, but with Flaco, or maybe I'll tell it. He's probably too humble to say it. And they were talking, and Flaco had seen him play, and everybody wants to play like Flaco. You know, everybody, we won't name names, but we know that.
I wanted to play like Flaco too.
But Flaco heard him and goes, "No, man, you got this great thing. It's totally different and stuff." So. Versatility from a button accordion player. I mean, Joel Guzman can do it. He's
if you can't,
Jimi Hendrix, but Robert plays a lot of different stuff. But to me and to us, now that he knows so much more, because we've been together over 10 years.
Yeah.
There's not that much difference between country and Mexican music in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, they're all notes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's 12. It's how you pitch them and how you whatever you press the button and stuff. So I know I've accompanied Robert on a few of his gigs there at the Voodoo Queen and
that's right, Voodoo Queen. We've been around
places like that and stuff. So you're right. It's you see the progression and the growth of somebody. And it's
people say that to him too, because they say to him because they know him. That how he just. Again, he just kills it on the Tejano.
Yeah.
And they go, I didn't know you could play that, all that weird stuff. And
And then, that goes back to, proud to call him my friend and proud to call a few people my friend that are musicians now that I've, there's a metric for us normal folk when you see, and I know we talked about TV and blah, 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 but for us normal people, when you see people there that in our heads, you're like, man, they made it. They're on there, and Nick with was it Letterman?
He's with Bill Shaver and Willie.
Bill Shaver cool. and Lencho at the Grand Ole Opry,
that was
and things
cool
like
too.
that. So it's just it's a good feeling to know that.
Let me tell you a story about TV for us. We were this last promotional tour last year now. We had gone into the Americana Fest in Nashville, and we were very excited. We did all this stuff. It all went great. Some radio, and we were doing this big television appearance before an enormous audience in
it was in
Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Called what was it?
Wood Songs.
Wood Songs. Yeah. And it's been there forever, and it's a live stage show, and it's live, and it goes out. It's live TV. Yeah, it's part of Armed Forces Radio. I don't know if they still call it that, but it went everywhere around the world and 180 million households and stuff. So our first song, we were very excited to do this, and we brought in our Canadian rhythm section and our hot shot guitars and everything. And about 2 notes in the first song, his strap breaks on his accordion. So that's us.
There you go.
That's how we do it.
That's how we roll.
I looked at him all of a sudden and kind of heard this and go, because we're all a little excited. And I hear something. I go, I look over at him. I go, are you okay? He goes, no. He's holding on.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. He almost dropped it.
Yeah. The camera does something to you. You can be, cool cat, but when that little light goes on,
that's the same thing for recording.
My name is Robert.
Yeah,
we do that. We actually say, "Okay, we're gonna roll now. Everybody tense up."
Yeah, tense it up.
Yeah, but the recording thing, you just start getting more and more relaxed with it, and use the studio as best you can. But live TV, especially live TV. You should have seen the look on his face when that happened.
Oh,
it's terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
He's trying to hold
I guess
it
just
up
being
with
in
his
the
knee.
crowd, right?
Well, it was in a cool old lyric theater in
Okay.
Lexington,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there was a crowd, and I could hear that big gulp, and he smartly turned around and grabbed a chair and sat down.
Yeah,
It was
they're like, holy crap. So what's the latest album called?
Curandera Volume 1.
Culendera. So that's where I got that. Okay, yeah. So Sunday Sinners from Culendera. So thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for coming out and doing this.
Thanks for having us.
My little office here. And it's all about the East End for us here, and I'm glad that you guys you come back and do some things. And I know we've done some things on the Esplanade and stuff, and hopefully we'll see you guys again.
I'll tell you something about not growing up in the East End. I feel so comfortable here, and it's so great. And of course, I'm with family, and I know his parents. I knew his mom. I know his brothers, his brother rather, and all of his musical friends. So they've taken me, and it's just wonderful, very blessed. But it reminds me of growing up as a kid in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It really does. Has that feeling right now of my childhood in Los Angeles, a long time ago. So
I took this job about 7 years ago, and one of my goals, my personal goals, was to make the Esplanade in this area more like family.
It really is great.
Because I grew up here and I saw the change. I mean, navigation. Back in the day, you didn't want to be down navigation. That was not a place you
I remember those.
Oh yeah. So now that the way it is now is I even get vendors tell me, it's like, man, this is such a great vibe over here. So I said, it's just I've been behind the table. I've vended, many years. So I know what it is, packing up and packing down and dragging this stuff all around. So I try to make it as less painful for them, even starting out new, as I can, and give them that family feel, and I tell them, look, if you're not going to show up, I don't need a big old note from your mom that, I hate my back. Just tell me you're not going to make it. That's it. Really? Yeah. Oh my God. This one lady sent me an email, and it was so long, and she gave me the whole medical history and my boños and all this stuff. And so, that's thank you. Thank you for
the
that.
vibe really is great, and it really does remind me of his neighborhood, especially where I live with him. It's just like so cool. It reminds me of old school LA, which is kind of gone now, So of course it is.
Well,
that was 100 years ago.
We'll see what the new ones do. I don't know about all that. So Robert Rodriguez and
Tony Zamora
with Tremoloco, and we're gonna close it out with Mezcal from
Curandera.
Culendera. Thank you guys for
thank you
for